Hi everybody, welcome to another midweek chat. A little earlier, it's Tuesday evening, but tomorrow evening I'm going to be in Montana and I don't know the situation. I thought it might be good to do the chat from Montana with our youth groups out there, and we don't have a youth group so much, but high school students and some of their parents are chaperoning. Our first ever, Kelly and Beth put together a service trip that takes place with, I found out, I might be at the wrong number here, but like 250 total youth, so we'll have about 20. And so I think when we get there, it'll be kind of a big experience. So it's not like just the St. James folks are working on some projects out there together, but there'll be like 2 from St. James and 2 from someplace in South Dakota and 2. So hopefully that'll be a great experience for everybody. I think each day begins with Mass. They have chaplains, so I'm just going to go and pray with everybody else. It'll be good. And on the way home, it's a Sunday all-day bus ride, so I packed a Mass kit so we could have Mass on the way home at hopefully some scenic spot, so it'll be good. So anyway, taking my sleeping pad, gonna rough it for a few nights, but be good. I kind of miss the days of backpacking anyway, but hopefully it goes well. So this is my Life is Good episode of the chat. Can you hear it's Owen Park. It's the free Tuesday night blues at Owen Park every Tuesday in the summer. I was gonna go west and I wanted to see some of these cornfields. Everything's so green and beautiful now, but they're good views of the fields. They're usually open air, and there was a 10-mile-an-hour westerly wind out today. Well, it seems pretty calm now, so I probably could have done it. But anyway, here I am. It's Chippewa River. It's pretty high. I don't know if you can tell, but like those trees are underwater, and they usually aren't. All the gates of the dam upstream are open, so all the water is rushing down, and so a lot of high water. You're not supposed to go tubing down the Chip when it's high like this. So anyway, so I'm preoccupied a little bit with getting ready to fly out tomorrow. I took all my packed all the stuff and put it on the bus with the students, the youth, and the chaperones, so I just have to walk on with my little backpack, and it should be nice. The blues. Life is good, and that is the blues. It's interesting, isn't it, that the blues can be comforting to people. I didn't come with any blues classics in my mind, but like Lucille, isn't that about Lucille who left her man and left him brokenhearted? B.B. King. I don't know. My introduction to blues was like with the Blues Brothers movie. That's a good soundtrack. Those are good songs. Soul Man. What did I do to make you mad this time, baby? Yeah. But there's something about suffering and sadness that when we can give voice to it and almost make something beautiful out of it, like a blues tune, it, I don't know, it sort of dignifies it, or somehow it makes us feel better. It doesn't take away the sadness or the situation, but maybe it's so we know it's a human experience and we're not alone. Hey, somebody wrote a song about this. I'm in the dumps, Dylan did a lot of blues songs on they say the darkest hour is just before the dawn. They say the darkest hour is just before the dawn. Well, you wouldn't know it by me. Every day's been darkness since you've been gone, right? So, if you got a little ache in your heart and you hear that, you're not alone, right? So, it's good. Okay, so we had a little blues to accompany us tonight. I'm not sure who the performer is, so I assume you can hear it a little bit, but it's not too loud to be annoying. I'm downstream quite a bit, if you can tell. I don't know where the Water Street Bridge is just out of sight that way. So, little red-winged blackbird for us. So I got some parish news, a few reflections on this and that, a little bit about prayer and contemplation. So we got the Egyptian, really? Oh, I don't know. I just had a memory today at Daily Mass. It was all about the Assyrians attacking Hezekiah, reading from 2 Kings for our Daily Mass today. And everything you get in the Bible is all these awful people that are attacking Israel, and God is on Israel's side. And one of my Holy Land pilgrimages that I went on, we were in Egypt, and There's like a stone, a letter carved in stone, or an annal of history, and it talked about the enemy, but the enemy was Israel, and they were engaged with, and they were saying, we're the ones who are good, and these marauding people from they call themselves Israelites or something like that. I thought, wow, that really kind of just blew my mind to hear a different narrative. It's like whoever's telling the story, they tend to be the good guys, and the others are the bad guys. Which, as I mentioned at Mass, I think is so. I just watched Lincoln, the movie with Daniel Day-Lewis. So good. I think I mentioned that last week, but I finished it up since I started it last week, and I finished it Sunday night, I think. And he didn't say this in the movie, but someone said, it was my favorite Lincoln quote. So someone said, "How are you so sure God is on your side?" Or it's good to know that we have God on our side. It was something about God is on our side. And he certainly, even his second inaugural address was so good about, goodwill to everybody, malice toward none, doing the right as we are given the grace to know the right. Like we can't always be too sure that we always know what's right. But obviously he thought his cause was just and good, and he could have, if anyone could have, he probably could have been the one to say, God supports this. We're trying to end slavery, and I'm pretty confident God didn't like that too much. But anyway, he had a real humility about him, and he said, "Well, ma'am, whether God's on my side or not, I hope, but that's not really the important question. The important question is whether I'm on God's side. That's the question we have to ask every day. To keep asking it, rather than say God's on our side. To try every day to be on God's side by loving our neighbor and treating each other well, right?" So anyway, let's see. Hey, I asked our school principal, Danielle, is there anything going on in school I should report? Well, they're painting. Regis President Mr. Peterson was over today. I'm not sure what they were talking about, but it's good. They were in the 4th grade classroom. They're getting ready for our new 4th grade teacher, Mary Rice. Our 2nd grade teacher, Miss Rosine, she's out in Montana with everybody, nursing her broken rib. So hope she's doing okay with that. But painting, they're doing some painting. They got some painting hallways and a few classrooms that needed it real badly. And she said, these are the Walk for Virtue's dollars at work. So all the paintings being covered for money that they raised from the Walk for Virtues last May. So thanks for your support for that, if you supported it, prayer or a donation. Kitchen supplies. So it's been in the bulletin. Christine and Patrice have mentioned it at Mass. So we gutted the kitchen in our kitchen renovation. So there's a lot of like stainless steel tables, cooking stuff. It's nothing that I could use. Dan looked at it and said, "Hey, this would be great if someone's really into fishing. A nice little table to clean your fish, like the old where they wash the dishes and there was like a hole, that'd be a good place to scoop the guts out of your bluegills and put it in there." And so, if you or someone might benefit from something like that, you could take it this weekend and come down before or after Mass and say, "I'll take it." It's just a bunch of stuff down there. Street ministry. We're still last weekend to collect donations for the street ministry. Pastor Mike and the gang that minister to the people who are homeless and not sheltered. Maybe they do come. Maybe some do shelter at night at the Sojourner House, but during the day, as the days get hot, a lot of needs to have water. They just kind of run around and they monitor and they drive around and try to spot people that could use some food or some water. In the winter, of course, something to stay warm. And then in July, there's going to be a new thing it's really a nice tradition. I don't know if you know, but at St. James, like each month, there's Social Concerns has a project, something to which you can donate. And so June was street ministry. July's project is empty backpacks for school children in Eau Claire public school system. So it's called, there's a group called We Care Eau Claire, and they do a lot of good stuff. And one of the things they do is they give backpacks with backpack supplies to families that could use that, because that can be expensive. So we're looking not for the supplies, but I think for the empty backpacks, school type backpacks. So that's what we'll be collecting in July. Okay, is that music getting louder? Hope it's not too loud. Okay, you know the blues, it builds and then it gets louder, right? Let's see. Montana work crews I talked about, July, kitchen supplies. I have less today. You know, I listened to some things about prayer this week I thought I would share. Just want to share a little bit about Bishop Battersby, Bishop Gerard, as we call him in Mass. His first name is Gerard. Youngest of 9 children. And I really like him. I think he's really deeply grounded in prayer. Not that you have to be one or the other, but I think sometimes people are obviously Christ-centered, and other people maybe seem a little more church-centered than Christ-centered. And of course we believe, you know, that's one of the things as Catholics, we believe we encounter Christ through church, and so it's not like a mutually exclusive. But he's not afraid to talk about Jesus and his prayer with Jesus, and looking to Jesus to guide him and guide all of us to together try to discern the voice of Jesus in our lives. And I think that's great. I think he sees this as a time of renewal for the diocese, for the priesthood in the diocese, and for everybody. Oh, I should get this down. And there's going to be like 3 phases. I forget what it's called. There's like 3 phases for this renewal effort. And the first phase is the bishop and his priests. So, and that starts like this year, and it runs, oh gosh, I wasn't going to talk about this, so I didn't think. But each of these phases, they run like maybe from September through Easter this year as the priest and his bishop and his priest. And then the next phase, you know, they kind of go from like one religious outlet, like from Pentecost until Advent, or, you know, something like that. And the next phase would be the bishop and the people. So maybe that'll be when we kick off. I shouldn't say I was going to be late, but it's not all about, I don't get the sense from him that it's all about money. I was going to say maybe when he gives his annual appeal video speech, that might be the kickoff for the bishop and his people. But I think I'm actually kind of looking forward to seeing the video of the new bishop this year, so hopefully we'll get that set up. And then the third phase would be the pastor and his people. So we'll see how all that fleshes out. But like he was talking about, I shared some time with him, I think I mentioned last week, at St. Anne's, where he came up for the 75th anniversary and talked a little bit. And he was, you know, he's kind to me and supportive. After I preached, he said, "Father, that was a beautiful homily." And it's only the second bishop that ever complimented me in that way. So the other one was Bishop Fliss at Superior, if anybody remembered him. Anyway, I always think it's humble when a bishop compliments the priest for something. But he, I don't know, he just impressed me with sincerity, and he's on a mission, right? We're going to try to move. It's going to be a commonplace. Maybe you've not heard it though, because you're not a religious junkie like myself. In the church, they talk about the need to move from maintenance to mission. So in the old days, churches were packed, Catholic schools were packed, and it's like we just had to kind of keep it going, maintain what we're doing, or, you know, don't fix what's not broken, kind of thing. And now, you know, there's just a lot less people in church, you know, nationally, and a lot Catholic education is struggling to fill schools, and you know, but mostly there's fewer people going to church, and so kind of in a mission mode rather than a maintenance mode, and kind of seeing how that will flesh out, you know. But like he says, it's about Jesus, so we just got to try to be listen to each other, listen to Jesus, and try to go for it. So when he was done with his talk, I said, you know, Bishop, it was a very challenging talk he gave, but it was hopeful. It lifted my heart. But one of the things he said, just a personal reflection. I hope it's okay to share this. It's about just his prayer life. He said, you know, after I got the call to come to La Crosse, you remember he's been in Detroit all his life, all his support. He's obviously a big man in town, you know, family, you know, 8 siblings, and in La Crosse he doesn't know anybody. And He said, honestly, whenever I saw the word lacrosse, whenever I heard the word lacrosse, it was like a punch in the solar plexus. He said, the stomach muscles, like someone punched, like a grief, like, oh, I gotta leave. He didn't get real explicit about what that meant, but I think I knew what he meant. A punch in the gut when you hear lacrosse. It's like, not that he heard anything bad about lacrosse, he was afraid of lacrosse, but still leaving home. And I don't know, he said, but boy, he just started thinking about Jesus and the cross. And he actually said the blood that flowed from the cross. And after kind of praying with that image that came to him as a grace, it's like that whole stomach tightness just released, and hasn't been present at all ever since. So it's a guy who prays. It's a guy who prays sincerely and meaningfully, and he's our shepherd. So I think that's great. Speaking of prayer, I got going on the bulletin column today, and do you like to skip stones? I love skipping stones. Oh, I had a good stone skipper now. Well, I don't have to have the perfect stone. Let's see. It's a little bad angle, but could you see that? That wasn't bad for, sideways. But I was talking about trying to slow summer down because it's just whipping by. It's going to be July 4th, next week. I don't want to be, Mr. Negative, but it is more pleasant when the days are getting longer, I think, than when they're getting shorter. And then people have vacations maybe, and when they come back from vacation, it's like 2 weeks later. So how to kind of appreciate the days and not have them just speed by. And that's what I wrote in my summer newsletter to everybody. And one of the things I suggested was to pray, to review the day, and to savor the time. And I think maybe the best way for me to do that lately is what they call contemplation, where you just kind of sit. You could do it alone with a candle in the dark, but I think more like even when I'm outside, like after this chat, I'll probably take in some music and just watch people. And if you ever felt like you can sort of get out of yourself and you're just observing, maybe even yourself, you observe your own feelings, your own thoughts. You marvel at the fact that you're here on earth, and it's summer and you're warm, but then also observing other people, like marveling at the talent on stage there, or looking at parents trying to harness their children's energy if they need to be harnessed, or strangers talking, or just everything. Maybe people that have had a few too many, kind of wandering around and not steady on their feet, and just kind of just kind of noticing that we're kind of all in this together, this wild, and animals too. Hear the birds or watch the birds. That we're all part of this glorious creation. We're part of this world of grace, and just taking that in, even when we're feeling the blues, even when we're sad, to know we're not alone. So I think that can be a really lovely way to pray. I don't mean it to be the way. If you have a practice with the rosary, or certain prayers that you like to say, or reading the scripture, it's all good stuff. It's just summer's a nice time to contemplate, I think. What is that, a duck? What is that, something swimming by? Yeah. And the other thing I heard about prayer this week, I was listening to some files I had downloaded on my phone. I didn't realize, but I was really grateful because they were awesome. By Henry Nouwen, a Dutch priest. He died around the year 2000, I think. And I wish I'd written it down. I was driving, so I didn't feel like I could write it down. He said standing vulnerably with God is the central quality that makes all good prayer. Is that what he said, the central quality? Did I write it down? Later I tried to remember. Standing vulnerably before the Lord. He just said it's what really makes prayer really good, when you can stand vulnerably before the Lord. So what does it mean to be vulnerable? It means to be open to being wounded. So I don't know if that's, I don't know if we're open to be wounded, but we're not just, we're open to being affected. I need your consolation today, God. Here's what happened today. Just to be honest, like you imagine you're talking to a friend, and you can just talk about the weather, or you could talk about something that he or she did that hurt your feelings, or that'd be really vulnerable. Or you could just talk about your life more, like, yeah, I've been feeling kind of blue lately, or I don't know why, but I've just been really joyful these past 2 weeks, and it's been good, you know. To really kind of, I guess, to bare your heart, to bare your soul before the Lord. And it might not even be words. It could be one of those contemplative things. I'm gonna take my my mind that likes to just think about myself and worries about this, that, and the other thing, and I'm gonna just put that over here. And I'm just gonna be open to what's in front of me now and what I'm feeling now and the people in front of me now. That can be kind of a vulnerable thing for some people, you know, to kind of let go of the go-to preoccupations. So, a couple thoughts on prayer, I guess. Contemplation, and then being vulnerable with God. So I think I can leave it at that for tonight. We'll see. Maybe I'll do a recording in Montana. I'm not sure what it's like there for internet and all that. I don't want to be too glued to my phone or anything like that either. So why don't we just let you take a look at the high waters, though the beautiful calm waters of the Chippewa River, as we hear some blues guitar in the background. Oh, I know this song. I used to like Three Dog Night when I was a boy, and this was on one of their albums. Never been to Spain. So loving God, there's many places we've never been to. But wherever we are, you are there. And we thank you for that. Help us to be open to you. Help us to hear your voice as best we can and to follow it. Help us to appreciate the gift of life and to rest and trust in your love. Even when things go on around us that we don't really understand or that trouble us. Bring peace to our hearts. Help us to be your light. Help us to find peace within ourselves, that we may be peaceful where your world needs it. And as our life flows like this water, let it flow to you. God bless you, everybody.